June 20th, regular zoning commission meeting to order at 7:02. Let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And
Can we share?
we need to appoint one alternate. Mike, how about you?
Happy to.
Welcome. Bruce did it last time. We're appointing
Mike
Mike
for Jerry, right?
for Jerry Post. The minutes of June 6th, anybody have any comments or corrections? I did not find any. So we'll approve the minutes as submitted. Our first order of business is the public hearing for Mark Lubetkin, and I believe that we need to continue to table that. So can I have a motion to table that, or continue it to July 11th?
Motion to continue application 1614 to July 11th.
Second.
Second by
Mr.
Kevin.
Gray.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. The applications, none of them, they all have to wait until the 11th. They're all dependent on public hearings that start then, so there's no consideration of B at all. Yes.
Would actually be appropriate if you entertain a motion to table items B, 1, 2, and 3, as well as 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay.
I move that we table items B 1, 2, 3, 4 until July 11th meeting, 2016.
Comments or anything? Is there a second? Second. Mike seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so those items are tabled. New business. We need to set a public hearing here on the application 1629 of Frank Grillo for a special exception for a liquor permit at 1610 Hot Meadow Street. Is the 11th a good time for that?
Just bear with me, Chairman, I know Mike and I had discussed whether we would have the ability with the extra kind of week in July to do our legal notices. We should be able to do that.
Okay, so your motion to set the public hearing for application 1629 for the 11th of July. So moved. Mike Doyle moved,
Second.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Now we've got application 1630 for a site plan amendment for expansion of finished office space onto the existing porch on the property located at 8 Plank Hill Road. Is there someone here to speak to that?
Yes, we are in the process of purchasing the building.
I need your name and
Oh,
address.
it's Douglas Hope,
And your, what address?
8 Plank Hill Road.
Yeah, no, I wanted to see the picture over there. Isn't it?
That's not your residence.
No,
Oh, yeah.
no.
I think she needs your residence.
Oh, my residence, I'm sorry, it's 57 Orchard Farm Lane, Avon.
Thank you.
Okay, can you tell us what you're planning to do?
Yes, my intent is to move my dental office to this space at 8 Plank Hill Road, and we could use a little bit more space on the first floor. We intend to put the office in the first floor. So we're trying to convert a portion of the porch as part of the office. We'd gone just prior to this for a design review, and they did accept that. And that's what we'd like to do. So we're not changing the footprint, so we're not coming out any further, but we're going to do it in the confines of the porch.
Okay, questions by commissioners?
Is there a staff report on this?
Yes.
It looks nice.
This is only the one change on the front porch here?
Yeah.
Okay, 'cause I couldn't-
I can walk the commission members
Yeah,
through.
okay.
This application came in late last week. Mr. Hope was considering purchasing the property and wanted to do his due diligence and come before the zoning commission to make sure that prior to purchasing the property, he had his zoning permits in order. His first step under the Simsbury Center Code was to go to design review. He was able to get on the agenda this evening, design review reviewed it, and made a favorable recommendation to the zoning commission. But under your Simsbury Center Code, there are a few administrative processes you need to follow. It is in the SC1 district. The Simsbury Center Code is kind of broken down based on frontages, and Plank Street is in the CS1 zone. With regards to uses, it specifically allows medical uses. Under medical uses, it defines dental offices. There are some site development standards, and the town engineer needs to review the code and those requirements. There also is a requirement within the center code for bike parking spaces. There's a secondary aspect to the code regarding the administration of the process, that a public notice sign, similar to the public hearing signs, needs to be put on the property. And that has not been done yet, again, given the timing of the application coming in late last week. And with that in mind, it would be our recommendation that the commission table this to your July 11th meeting to allow those administrative steps to occur. With regards to the proposal, you have the initial rendering that was submitted with the application. And there were some slight modifications made during the design review submission process, and I have one copy from that process. The photo that was, or the rendering that was put in the original package to zoning about design review is more of an artist rendering of what it could look like, and it's an existing building. So Zero Design out of Simsbury submitted a more realistic rendering of the building, which I just submitted for the record, which shows as it looks today, kind of with the addition of the enclosure of the porch. Also to try and keep with the architectural nomenclature of the farmhouse style, the pediments that you see as the oval windows on the eaves and along the porch area, those have been removed in order to simplify the process in front of design review at this time, and also to keep it more in keeping with the architectural style of the home. So design review approved, in essence, the plain farmhouse look that exists today without introducing new architectural elements which would not be in keeping with that appearance and that time period of when the home was originally built. We know it's been added on to, but the original home is in the mid to late 1800s.
Okay.
Jamie, is the existing parking sufficient for the change of use?
One of the reasons Mr. Hope is here this evening is he has been engaged in a number of weeks, if not months, of correspondence with the cemetery and church with regards to easement language. Originally, as the easement was laid out between the cemetery and the church, there was an easement that allowed the church to pass through this property to the rear, but it did not give this property an easement to park in the parking to the rear of the property. It gave them access to the main aisle, not to the parking spaces, that were east and west of the main aisle. They are working on revised language to solidify that, and any part of any motion that zoning would make, staff would recommend that the draft easement is solidified, filed on the land records prior to any construction activity or changeover. The new easement languages gives reciprocal rights to both the church and 8 Plank Hill that can use the center aisle, the drive lane, as well as the parking spaces. So originally, the easement was cross-hatched right down the drive aisle, but didn't give any easement rights to the parking spaces. The new proposed easement gives rights to the drive aisle and the parking spaces. And again, I understand the intent. If you look at the easement and the language and the time it was done, it gave the church the right to drive through this property to get the property they owned to the north of this site without any parking arrangements. It just gave them the right to pass and repass through 8 Plank Hill. Well, that doesn't work for both properties if you want to develop 8 Plank Hill. 8 Plank Hill needs access to the drive aisle on the church's property as well as those parking spaces. So the new easement language in essence is reciprocal in nature, that the church can use the parking spaces when they're underutilized by the dentist's office, and the proposed dentist's office can utilize the parking spaces when they're underutilized by the church property.
Good.
And that's the way, a downtown center works. And the regulations allow for that type of reciprocal use of parking.
Good. So the recommendation is to table this until the 11th, until the other things are done. Do you hear a motion?
I move we set the public hearing for application 16-32, July 11th.
Mr. Chairman, just no hearing is required.
No hearing.
No hearing, okay.
No hearing is required.
We just table it.
We will table application 16, I move we table application 1632, July 11th meeting.
Second?
Second?
Second by Kevin. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Okay, the next one is 16-3, which needs a public hearing.
31?
1631.
I'm sorry, 1631, I'm not reading it correctly. 1631 of Brian Deno for a special exception for an accessory dwelling unit above a proposed garage located at 9 Nodbrook Drive, and we need to set a public hearing for that, and it recommended that we set it to July 11th. Does that fit with the staff schedule?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, you will have a busy night that night. We also intended to have Glenn Chadler there for a regulation discussion, but perhaps at the end of this meeting, we can discuss the timing of that meeting with a rather lengthy agenda.
Okay. Hear a motion? Set the public hearing for 1631 to be our meeting at July 11th, 2016.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we set the hearing date, public hearing date for application 1631, Brian Deno, to July 11th, 2016.
Second.
Second by Donna. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we have application 1632 of Cumberland Farms. This is for a text amendment. And again, we need to set public hearing date. I'd like to ask staff, this is a little more complex lighting situation.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, with this one, we also have some potential notification requirements to the Capital Region Council of Governments, and we're supposed to give them 30 days notice, so it would be our recommendation to schedule this at your second meeting in July, which would be the 25th.
What are the requirements of us to
To any potential text amendment that within 500 feet of another municipality has to be referred to the regional planning agency. They're reviewing it for consistency with the regional plan of conservation and development. And then also if it, again, we haven't delved into the details, it also has the potential to affect the property that abuts the town. We may have some notice requirements to abutting
So
municipalities.
where, the Cumberland Farms?
It's a change to your signage regulations
Yeah.
associated with gas stations. They want to,
So it's
No,
nothing
I know what they
particular.
want, I know what they want, I'm just curious as to how it affects other, well, because it's.
you have other commercially zoned land.
Yeah,
So the
And also
20
it changes a standard that within a pad,
yeah,
they could have a commercial facility, which could be a gas station, which could have,
gotcha.
so we may err on the side of caution and send the notice.
So the 25th is an okay date with staff?
Yes.
Okay. So do I hear a motion to?
Mr. Chairman, regarding application 1632 of Cumberland Farms, Inc., I make a motion that we set the public hearing date for July 25th, 2016.
Second.
Second by
Jack.
Jackie. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None, so that passes. Okay.
Are we able to discuss that at all? or no?
We can if you want.
I'm curious about, I thought I saw a recommendation for white lighting on the LED signs.
There were discussions with the applicant in the beginning of having, originally it was black background, red lighting.
Yeah.
And then discussion, there was a LED capability to have white background, black lettering, like a digital clock.
Yeah.
And then it morphed into black background, white lettering. It's still internally illuminated, will be the subject matter for the public hearing.
Yeah.
But again, it's a change to what you have. The initial discussion was, it's not internally illuminated, it's just a lit sign, as it's called. How do you illuminate it
Right.
from the inside? So regardless of whether it's a pump topper or not, it's still signage. It is required by Consumer Protection Code for the price on the, we'll say the meter on the pump has to match the price topper. Historic Consumer Protection said it actually had to be a white background, black letters. They made recent changes to allow that to be digital, but it's only if the town allows it.
Well, right, I mean, we're basically accommodating the tenant or the gas station when they're complaining that their employees have to go out and change, labels on a topper. That's not our business.
But they also.
And I would just
They
mention.
have an opportunity to present their case during the public
Sure,
hearing. and-
sure, just my opinion. But I mean, I would take note of the perpendicular white lighting at the Pride Station that if you're driving southbound on Route 10, nearly blinds you as you drive by in both directions. But, that's a different type of lighting, but I can still envision, I've been by other Cumberland Farms in other parts of the state, and you can.
Again, it's my understanding that they're going to submit information
Yeah.
to substantiate their request, and you'll be able to hear that, evaluate it, and make a decision. We'll be acting legislatively, so it is up to you to determine whether you want to modify your regulations or not modify your regulations.
Did I read that they're going to bring a sample, actually show us what it looks like?
There were discussions that they may do that.
Okay. Okay, any more questions on that? Any general commission business? Want to talk about the schedule?
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, just under agenda item 5.1A, pending litigation, we had no need for you to go in executive session this evening.
Okay.
Under agenda item 5.2A, zoning regulations revisions, Glenn Chandler had scheduled to come and see you at your July 11th meeting. you have a substantial amount of public hearings, and I guess the discussion is some may be relatively simplistic in nature, others may take a little bit longer. If I have an opportunity to, I would like to discuss with Mr. Chalder about the possibility of moving from the 11th to the 28th, where although you, excuse me, 25th,
Good.
although you have scheduled a subsequent hearing, that hearing is in essence one right now, even if you table them. But I think it's important that we don't put this off beyond July.
Okay, that's fair.
Because we'd like to move forward. And the primary subject matter that evening is discussion of the use tables. So we wanted to walk you through how uses are regulated in town and which zone, and how we potentially are presenting them now, and what would be allowed and not allowed in every zone. And it's a little bit of moving some things around and trying to clear up some inconsistencies. You know, right now you have office space and you may have 20 categories of office space. Is there really a need to make a differentiation between a dentist's office and a doctor's office? You know, is it important if it's an orthopedic doctor or eye doctor? And again, so we're, in essence, in some aspects, we're trying to simplify the code. And, you know, is a doctor's office a doctor's office? I think there's a difference between ambulatory care where you may have overnight, but if a doctor's, you know, if you're an orthopedic versus a, you know, dental or a dental surgeon, as long as you're, you know, 9 to 5 type of office, whether you're looking at knees or root canals, you're seeing patients in the same kind of time slot turnover in each
What
office.
about a naturopath? Are they considered a doctor?
We allow medical services, so, and there are other personal services.
Yeah,
Is
that
a
was a
again,
question.
some of the issues in discussion, is a massage therapist any different than a physical therapist? Is it any different than a doctor's office who does PT? So again, it's simplification. What it is, it's an office that treats people in 5, 10, 15, 20-minute increments for a standard period of time. I think when talking with Glenn, my issues become if you're ambulatory surgical units with overnights, so if it abutted a transitional zone or a residential area, you know, the lights don't go off at 8, they're on all night, there's a second crew there. So I think those types of uses we're trying to separate, but again, we're trying to simplify the code where it can be simplified. And understand in some areas you just can't do it.
So I think everybody agrees with that, the 25th?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going over the new applications here, and I mean, I just in taking a quick look, I don't know how much time we're gonna need to spend on each of these. And new applications could come in for the 25th as well, or no? I mean, would that action could be taken? I mean, is it possible that we end up with 4 more, you know, applications on the 25th that?
It could, and that's one of the things that I'm comfortable if you're, you know, I'm here for the night.
No, I'm thinking,
It's just-
would you expect, or is it normal that more applications come in July and August, or less? I guess would be less.
Right now, there aren't really any that we're aware of that would be substantial.
Do we have August meetings?
No.
No, you have no August, and that's why a few have come in now to try and get in the queue,
Right.
so that hopefully they'll get action by August versus tabled and carried out in September. But again, I think,
I think the 25th is fine. I was just curious if we were just gonna end up in the same situation and have, you know, it be in July, but the last possible meeting.
again, I think if I come to Mr. Peterson's point, if I confer with Mr. Ryan and look at the agenda, probably maybe even the middle of next week and say, look,
We can adjust the agenda.
we can look at timeframes, and we still may think, although you have 5 public hearings,
Gotta go quick.
Yeah.
Right.
they're 5-minute public
Yeah.
hearings potentially, or 10-minute public hearings, so you can get through this course of business in an hour. And then you're here from 8 to potentially 10 on zoning matters. To your point, the same thing could happen on the 25th.
Yeah. We could do a special meeting in August if we needed to,
If we had to.
for just Glenn.
Yeah, we did that last year for something.
You could.
We could.
I don't sense a great deal of,
Enthusiasm on the part of staff.
Definitely wants that.
Could I get some clarification on this, though? I thought we had meetings scheduled then for the 11th and the 25th, and now we have some public hearings for the 18th.
No.
Clarify,
They're all the
11th and
11th.
25th. I misspoke.
There's nothing on the 18th.
There's
Right.
nothing on the
Right.
18th. If you look at a quick calendar, and that's why I have the 18th is in my mind, July 4th pushed everything back 1 week, so we should have been on the 4th and the 18th. And that's me.
I think we've reached the end of the road.
Okay.
You ready to adjourn? Anything else from staff? No? Motion to adjourn. It took longer today.
Second by Mr. Peterson, all in favor?
I.
Opposed? Thank you, guys.